Hey everyone, my name is Yasmin, aka Yayo Yam, and today I'm going to be talking about brushes. It's really one of those things where it depends on what kind of makeup you plan on doing. There are different options for different things. A lot of my Morphe brushes do not have names, so if I don't say the name, then it came in a set that I bought, and I'm sorry. So first things first, foundation. So first we have the pointed foundation brush. This one's from Morphe. Sometimes I like to use this just to kind of paint the foundation onto my face. Same thing with the stippling brush. The stippling brush is from e.l.f. You can use this just to apply it, maybe blend it out a little bit. But to me, they don't give the best finish. Same thing with a brush like this. Oh, I'm sorry. This last one is from Bare Minerals. I used to use this all the time, but with something like this, I just feel like it takes so long to blend out that after a while, it's just like, sometimes you just need to be quick. You don't have time to play around and beat your face. So when I got my beauty blender, my whole makeup game changed. I would still like apply with the foundation brush, but I would always go back to the beauty blender. So now essentially I just use my beauty blender. I might like just put the foundation on my face and then I'll just blend everything with this. Next, I want to talk about powder. I have a couple of different powder brushes. The bigger the brush, the more area it's going to cover. This is a brush, does not have a name on it. This is a brush that I bought at Walmart, and it's a synthetic brush, and it's bigger than the other brushes that I have for powder. This one is a e.l.f. Kabuki brush. I typically like just carry this in my purse, and every once in a while I might find it just need to brush something off my face or add a little bit more powder, so I'll use this. That's not my favorite brush to use just because this one I could just get the job done with. Something like this, it's kind of small. You gotta tap, tap, tap. This is good for traveling. And then there's this brush, same idea, not that much smaller than the other brush, but yeah, like powder brushes are really easy to shop for. It's not that hard. I have this brush. This is the Morphe Y6. I bought this brush because I thought it was more of a kabuki style. It is flat top and it does look like those other foundation brushes that are on the market, but when I look for a flat top foundation brush, I'm looking for something that's super dense, tightly packed. You can't really move the bristles like that. But this is good for like powder foundation, or on a day where I'm not going to wear a cream foundation and I just want to wear my powder. I would tap this into my skin. Something like a flat top brush like this is going to give you a lot of coverage. If you don't wear regular foundation, then this is a perfect powder foundation brush. Let's talk about bronzer brushes. This brush looks like a regular powder brush, but I know that this is a bronzer brush because it kind of has like these little divots, so it's a little tapered and a little bit flatter. But I like something like this because you just kind of like cover that whole area and you can just buff bronzer in really easily. I like that one when I'm trying to get like super defined contour, but I don't want it to be super diffused. When I want something to be super diffused, I like to go for my e.l.f. Brush. I don't remember, like a lot of these e.l.f. brushes don't have names either, which is unfortunate. But this, you can kind of just sweep all over your face. It's not densely packed at all. Like you see, it's very fluffy. So this is good for just getting all over. I also sometimes use a blush brush. Today I use this blush brush just to add my bronzer on to my face, just to add some warmth. Something like this. I'm using this when I'm not like looking for a super defined contour. When I want to have really defined contour, I usually go for my fan brush or this small powder looking brush. This is going to give you like that sharp contour, sharp defined cheekbones, and then you can also place product in the hairline, in the temple area. This is going to give you super defined contour as well. When I first got this brush, I tried to use it for highlight. It didn't really work out for me. I just felt like I always had big strips of highlighter on my face, so I would highly suggest it for bronzer or contour. This brush is another brush that I like to use for contour. This also gets right into the cheekbone area, give you a nice defined contour, especially if you want to like lay a bronzer down and then deepen it up towards the back to give yourself like more dimension to the face. This is Bare Minerals Dual Finish Blush and Contour Brush. For highlight, I use one of 3 brushes. This is an e.l.f. blush brush. It's tapered, so I just like to use the tip of it and just throw my highlighter on my face. Or if I want something to be really precise, I like using this pointed foundation brush. In one of my most recent videos, I used it and it was perfect. It was like a random thing. I don't even know why I picked it up, but it worked. I liked it. And then this is the M510 Morphe brush. And this, you can get like a really nice subtle highlight, but if you start building up the color and you don't really know what you're doing, it can get very intense fast. Now we're gonna move on to eyes. I have the Morphe M433 brush, and this is one of my favorite blending brushes just because you can diffuse a big area or be precise with this brush. So I like this brush a lot. The taper blending brush is good when you want to hit a particular point but you still want to have a diffused look. So I really like this brush. This regular blending eye brush by e.l.f. is good for the same kind of thing. It's kind of like an in-between of the M433 and the taper brush. I just like all of them. I like all of them. They're my favorites. Those are my favorite blending brushes. Then I have the Anastasia general brush that comes in the palettes. I have 2 because I have the Modern Renaissance and the Self-Made palette. And I like this brush because the blending brush, some people don't like it, but for me it works well. Like it blends out big areas, kind of like the M433, but the M433 has a little bit of a taper. And then on the opposite side, we have a brush that's good for just applying lid colors. You can also use that to deposit outer corner shades if you want to be really precise. So this is a good brush for detailing and adding lid shades. So a lot of the brushes that I have, they're not just one trick ponies. Like you can use them on different things. This is another brush. This is a brush from Real Techniques. It's called the shading brush, and I like to use it when I'm trying to be precise. I like to use it on outer corner or to add a little bit of definition to the crease. And then for my flat brushes, this is also good for doing the same thing that shading brush does from Real Techniques. These are good for concealer. These are good for lid shades. These are good for cutting the crease, but they're all a little bit different. You could even use this brush for a lid shade too. So that's why I say they're good, but this is very tightly packed. So I kind of like it for both because, like, again, you can get more than one use out of it. These are good for detailing. This one's from e.l.f. and this one is from Morphe. All 3 of these are really good for either getting in the inner corner. You could use it as a lip brush. This is actually supposed to be a lip brush. You can use this for putting highlight under the brow bone. You can get the lower lash line. Like, these brushes can do a lot with. You can use these for cutting the crease, but this one's my favorite for cutting the crease because you can be really precise. And then it's extended longer than this brush, so you have more brush to work with. This B3083 brush is really good for adding definition to the eye space, but it's flat, so you could also use it on the lid, but then you could also use it to blend when you're putting those little details in, just because it's not tightly packed like your typical flat shader brush. This B80 brush is meant to be a tapered crease brush. I usually like to just add crease colors, typically like the lightest shade or that medium shade. I don't really like to do too much with this brush. This is a good brush, but depends on the day when I use that. Something like this brush is stiff, so when you apply contour, you might probably want to use this with cream. But if you just take a dab of powder, you can, you know, place that color. But then you would probably want to follow up with the B80 and blend it out, just so it doesn't look as harsh. So, multi-usage. For my detailing brushes, I just got this brush. This is the M507. I think this is going to be perfect for just adding little pops of color and just being really precise. This can kind of do the same thing, but this has more of a taper, it has more bristles, and it's a lot better. I like to use this brush for like highlighting, mainly the inner corner. You can even add color underneath the lower lash line. Same thing with this brush. This is more of a pencil brush. You can add the color there. You can add the color under your brow bone. Get up underneath that lower lash line. This Naked 3 brush is one of my favorite brushes because it has that concealer-like flat lid brush. But then it also has this blending brush on the end. It's kind of like blendy, but it's dense. Like, it's like a mixture between this lid brush or detailer brush and a blending brush. You kind of get the best of both worlds with a brush like this, because you have this shape. The way the bristles are packed is more like a blending brush. I keep my brushes that come with my palettes just because you never know, you could use them. One of my favorite brushes from an eyeshadow palette is this brush that came with my Revlon palette. This little brush is perfect for detailing, and I like to use this side for adding like glue to my eye. I don't know why, but something about this sponge just does it for me. And plus, I don't like pulling the glue out of my bristles on my brushes, so this is perfect for adding glue to the lid or wherever. For brows, I only use my B74 brush unless I'm using a pencil. It's my favorite one because once you get product on it, it gets flatter. Like, it's a pretty flat brush, but yeah, once you get product on it, it just becomes flatter and you can get really precise hair-like strokes. This is what I used on my brows today. If you're watching this video, I hope you've seen my brow tutorial. Then I like to follow up with this flat brush for concealer. I just like how it just distributes the product evenly, and then when I'm done, I can get right up underneath that brow and just drag the product down to blend it out. For eyeliner brushes, I have 2 of these brushes from Morphe. It's kind of thick, so it's not my favorite to use for eyeliner. If I do, I kind of like to wipe it off just to make the bristles kind of stick together. Like, I'll get the product completely on there, wipe it off, and it'll make it lay a little bit flat. But this one I feel like is slightly flatter. This is a new brush, haven't used it, but it reminds me of the EO6 from Sigma. If it doesn't work out, I'll probably buy the EO6 because that one's really tiny and it's perfect for eyeliner. I don't cream contour, but if I was, this stippling brush, while you can also use it for foundation, you can also use it for cream contour. And I think it looks nice. Another use for this is highlighter. Sometimes I highlight my face if I just want to lightly diffuse highlight, you know, like really subtle, like glow within look. I'll use this because the bristles, like, it's like there's bristles underneath here, but then they have little short ones that kind of stick up, so you're not putting a whole bunch of product. So if you use this for blush, it's really nice. You get a light flush of color. Blush is not my favorite thing, so when I do use it, I like to use that stippling brush because I just get that little bit of color and it's not like super intense. Sometimes when you use a brush like this is a It Cosmetics blush brush, you can get a little crazy with it. So that's it for my brush video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want, you can follow me on social media at YayoYam, and I'll see you in my next video.